820.
Hello, hashtag First TV family, and welcome. It's week, well, it doesn't matter right now. I'm Aaron Mack. That's who is before you. Aaron Mack is before you right now. And it is that time where we extend gratitude, thank yous to everyone in the hashtag First DB family. Thank each and every one of you very much for sticking with hashtag First DB. I remember years ago, one of my friends in college, he was like, I actually don't need to tell that story, so I won't. He was beautiful though. But anyway, thank yous. Yes, England, England, thank you. Greece, thank you. Ireland, thank you. China, thank you. Ukraine, thank you. Germany, thank you. Belgium, thank you. Iran, thank you. Canada, thank you. United States, thank you. I did say Germany, right? I said Germany and then I went into Belgium, right? Thank you. Thank you all. England, Greece, Ireland, China, Ukraine, Germany, Belgium, Iran, Canada, US. Thank you all. I actually used to work with a woman who was actually from Iran. And before making her acquaintance, I was one of I would just say Iran, Iraq and Iran, you know, and the way she would pronounce it. And I might be doing a horrible job. I probably do a horrible job with a lot of stuff that I try. But I remember the way she would pronounce it. She'd be like, I'm from Iran, Iran. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Yes, ma'am. Anyway, but yes. So today's topics: Marlon Rainbow. Subtitle: hashtag weigh-ins. From BuzzFeed.com and hashtag kinda curated A20. Has subtitle hashtag pinned. Nope. That's so funny. Anyway, subtitle hashtag boned. Yes. And that's coming from at tonight's conversation, the cards, and the hashtag underrated hype TVA20. Before I Fall in Love by Coco Lee. From the soundtrack Runaway Bride. It's also from her debut album. I think that was her debut album, called There's Just No Other Way, right? And that's circa 1999. And I pulled this from at ADLAM550, and that's their YouTube handle. All right, hashtag Verse TV family. And that's all coming up this week on hashtag Verse TV 268, week A20. We've made it to week A20, you guys. Thank you. Yes. And welcome. Welcome very much. The random question. So I get to take a look now. All right. So I already processed it. So it'll come right up. Boom. Y'all get to see it. So I'm not lying. It says, oh, y'all are going to make me talk about so much. Oh my gosh. And I pulled it away because I already know what it asked. But yes, the randomly selected question. Have you ever lived in another country? And as of course we all know, I'm my boyfriend is international. He lives in another country right now, and we are working on anyway, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But I actually got to discuss what we're working on with my grandmother today. She's super cool. She's an ally, you know. Yeah, I guess in thinking about it, she is an ally, huh? Yeah. Yeah. And I was talking with my grandmother about what I've planned with him. A- All of that to say, no, I've never lived in another country. I've only lived in the United States for my entire life. I've also never even visited another country yet. But he has, and he has lived in other countries outside of his home country as well, and lived there and schooled there. He's so amazing. And so amazing to be loved. I follow you to the moon and the stars above. Who remembers when I'll give you 1,000,000 points? This is one of those random 1,000,000 points times, one of them ones. But when Solange did a duet, no, it was Lil Romeo. I think he's taking off the Lil now, but Lil Romeo, and that's sort of a hint, did a duet with Solange, utilizing that sample. What was the name of that song? Leave it in the comments if you know. Yes. Oh my gosh. Actually, no, that's not what it says. Okay. But yeah, he's lived a number of places outside of his home country. And I was speaking with him this past week, and I was like, sometimes I'm just so intimidated by the fact that you're so worldly and so experienced in so many things. And I'm just me, just little old me. And he was like, Aaron, stop. And basically, he's like, we're good. We're good. I'm like, really? Oh, 1, 2, 3, the Nicki Minaj blink. Anyway, I was like, I was like, thank you for being so phenomenal. So my random, not my random song, but my song of the week is none other than it's my newish song, and the album was re-released apparently in the year 2014. So that's why I was like, okay, that I can use that as my new song. But technically, the album was originally released in 2006, and the song was originally released from this compilation in 1989. So, yeah, it is what it is, though. But the song is Keep Love New by none other than the Queen Betty Wright from her album Four, the number four, U, the letter U, two, the number two, Enjoy, and that's NJOY. So I love this song not only because of her whistle notes that she hits in it, but also I love particularly now. I'm 41, but particularly now that I'm finally experiencing love, true connection. But I love songs that are about keeping relationships, working through relationships. Now, and I was talking with one of my good Cleveland friends about this yesterday over a meal. There are things that are absolute no goes. And I always revert back to putting your hands on me. That is a no. That's an absolute no. Outside of things like that, I love the concept of working to keep a relationship going. And that's what she's talking about in this song. Keep your loving new. And at the end of the song, she does whistle notes. Ah. Anyway, but yes, keep your loving new. And I love that. Betty Wright's husband, well, they've both since passed away. And I'd like to think that they were both allies. I tell myself that they were. Nevertheless, I love songs that are about keeping love fresh, keeping love new. She one of the lines she says, "Girls, don't forget to comb your hair. Take special care of what you wear. And guys, don't forget to open those doors. She is your woman." And I was like, "She is yours." And I think about my love and I'm like, "Yes, I am. Yes, I am." Yes. Oh my gosh. And I'm even going to get into that in today's show. So I have no more to say about that stuff. So like, share, subscribe, share again, and do not forget to click like. I'm so excited for this for y'all. We are going to have a good time.
Marlon Rainbow, subtitle Wayans, BuzzFeed.com, #VerseTV 820A. Posted 4 hours ago, the worst people now have a megaphone. Marlon Wayans shared remarkable insight on standing up to LGBTQ hate. "I'm always going to use my platform to forward the agenda of love and equality." By Michael Thompson, BuzzFeed staff. Hot topic. Full coverage and conversation on Pride 2024. Marlon Wayans wants the world to know he's 100% an LGBTQ ally, and he's not backing down. Parrish Lewis. The actor and comedian's resume spans over 35 years, including the WB sitcom The Wayans Bros. Don't Be a Menace, Scary Movie, and White Chicks. All projects he notably worked on with his brother Sean Wayans. Warner Bros. Courtesy Everett Collection, Columbia Pictures, courtesy Everett Collection. But during this Pride Month, Marlon let it be known that he's proud to hold other titles besides comedian and entertainer, father and LGBTQ ally. BuzzFeed trending hot topic. Let's chat about all things Pride. See our Pride discussions. Marlon is the father of 3 children, and last week he posted an Instagram tribute to his eldest, Kai, who identifies as gender non-binary. In the post, Marlon wished a happy Pride for Kai and all his friends, fans, and family, but the post received some backlash. View this photo on Instagram. Marlon Wayans, Instagram.com. The backlash didn't faze Marlon, who took the hate as an opportunity to double down, triple down, and drive home the fact that he had nothing but love and support for LGBTQ people. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Marlon explained his reason for the series of Pride-themed photos and his decision to challenge the backlash. What kind of toxic world do we live in where supporting people's fight for equality or non-judgment or happiness is met with so much animosity? Article continues below.
Guess vocabulary, Marlon Wayans. All right. So Animosity. That's 4 syllables. Anyway, yes. So that's like a jewel plus. That's a plus, a jewel plus. Anyway, yes. So Marlon Wayans is truly doing the right thing. And it's so beautiful. He's so beautiful. And there are I particularly noticed like this past week, and I guess that's why BuzzFeed came out with this article so soon. But in this photo shoot that he took so beautifully with the rainbow gear and everything, I noticed a number of my Facebook friends and stuff like that. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday how it's interesting how nowadays calling Facebook friend is an actual classification for a type of friend. But a number of Facebook friends and actual friends posting these photos of him on their timeline. And some people were like, Marlon Wayans is gay. Oh my gosh, are you finally coming out, boy? And it's like, no, the man is not gay. The man's child actually is gender non-binary. Now, there's a thing about that because not his most recent time on The Breakfast Club, but a recent time on The Breakfast Club. And Just Hilarious was there as well. So that sort of gives you an idea of the time frame. But I remember before the most recent time when he went on The Breakfast Club, he actually spoke to the fact that he's dealing with the fact that his daughter is no longer his daughter. And I believe that he said his daughter is transitioned to his son. And he was like, that's really, he said that was really hard for me to deal with at that time. And I'm like, that's interesting because he's Hollywood elite. You would think that everybody in Hollywood is cool with people being whatever. But he was like, that was very hard for me to deal with. Now, I will say this he going on that show, of course, he had worked through a lot of stuff before he would go on the show. But I just heard in his voice that he was like, that was really hard. He was like, that was really hard for me to deal with. And I could just hear it in his voice. He was like, that was so hard for me to accept the fact that my daughter is no longer my daughter, but is my son. Although it seems like, I don't know if it's that Marlon Wayans himself evolved on this and understands it better now. And it's not, no, I'm not your son. I'm your gender non binary offspring, you know? Or if it's that Kai, his gender non binary child, just changed or adjusted or came to a clearer revelation of how they classify themselves. And now they go by non binary. But I could have sworn that when he was on the Breakfast Club that time, he was like, yeah, I've had such it was so difficult for me. I'm better now, but it was so difficult for me to accept my daughter is now my son. But I think it's so beautiful. You hear the kids down there. And Oh, yes. So, as I said at the top of this show, I did speak with my grandmother today, and we even discussed what I was going to talk about on the show today. Well, not we discussed, like, oh, let me get some ideas from you about the show. Because honestly, like she even asked, she's like, so Aaron, in doing your show, do you like get, in addition to doing what you want to do for your show, do you get feedback from your listeners of what types of shows they'd like you to do? And I explained that at the beginning of hashtag Verse TV, the way beginning, I would ask, like, so what type of topics would you like us to discuss and things like that. And I said to my grandmother, I'm like, nobody would ever respond with anything. And then I explained that I had to learn that no, people won't do that because that's like asking people to co-produce your show for you. So that's why they're not going to do that, at least in the beginning. Maybe when people already grow like a huge audience and stuff like that, there will be some people who want to contribute. But at that point, you've already found your place. And at this, I will say this. Yes, my family is great. And fortunately, I have been welcomed largely out of the closet. And that's a blessing. And I will say yes, and yes, my family is great. And yes, and so it's it's been a growth journey for my family, and it's about love and yeah, quite frankly, in spite of all of the welcoming and the love from my family, it's not like my family was like, "Oh, my wish for Aaron is that he'd grow up to be a gay man." That was not the wish. That was not my family's wish at all. And people have had to, we've all had to grow and adjust along the path of life. And as I grow in my journey and stuff, and it, it's a process with which I feel we are making progress. You know, it's a learning process with which we are making progress. It's some people have some horrible coming out stories, and that's not me. Fortunately, thank God Almighty. Hallelujah. I got to church this morning after the gym, and we celebrated Pride Sunday at church. Oh my gosh. Anyway, somebody in my comments on one of my newer videos on my personal channel, they were saying some anti-gay stuff on that channel. And I was like, the way I interpret it is I was like, well, thank you so very much for all of the love and everything, love and understanding of the LGBT community. And yes, thank you very much. And happy Pride. Yes, girl. Anyway, let me stop. But yeah, as far as the family, I get it. Things can take time. And I'm really serious about the dude that I'm dating. And we are talking marriage. And I did get to speak to my grandmother about that today. And she was still so cool. Oh my gosh, yes, she was. And all of that being cool, I realized not, and we talked about this, how I think a lot of the people who were perhaps younger and the right before this generation, perhaps Gen X, maybe um, baby boomers, are like learning that, oh, I'm cool with gay now. Yes, that's fine. But what they're not on, what they have to understand now, this new thing is that, hey, not only are people going to be gay, while the expectation was in the past that, oh, it's okay, you can be gay, whatever, and that gay people would just be single for the rest of their lives, single for the rest of my life. But gay people are actually getting married. And that's a new thing for people to reckon with. And I was talking with my grandmother about that. And she's like, that's a thing. And she also referenced, she's like, because of the way I worded it somehow or whatever, she connected it to people needing to know their history. She didn't say people know their history, but people need to know what things were built from. So, and that's right. Huh. Just talking this through, I'm realizing that she's offering what she said as advice to gay people going forward, LGBTQ plus people going forward, that you have to know what you've come from. So you know the value of what we have today. And my grandmother referenced, she didn't say Roe versus Wade specifically, but she did mention women's rights and the importance of getting out there and voting, women's rights, and how stuff like that is being stripped away. And next thing you know, because we felt like when Roe versus Wade was passed, everything's going to be all good, period, forever. And we're seeing that's not how it is. And in terms of gay equal marriage, stuff like that, we don't want this new generation to be like, oh, well, gay. And there are people who are there. There are people who they're just like there are people who their entire life, hey, America's had a black president. That's been done before. There are people also today who it's like their entire life, gay marriage has been legal. So it's one of those things that if you forget that, know that, but even though your entire life, that's always been the case, no, that's not how things always were. And yes, things can be stripped from you. So it's important to, I say, tender love is the key. This freedom of ours, Q plus community, is new. It's new, but we have to understand its value and that it is not something that it's just always been. So it's whatever. It's not that way. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and don't forget to click like. Thank you.
Hashtag kinda curated, A20, subtitle phoned at tonight's conversation, hashtag First TV, A20B. Do you feel it's okay to go through your significant other's phone without permission? Why or why not?
Well, you did get to hear my cutie patootie kitty Muffin in the background of that audio because she's very outspoken. But right now she was called for a meal because it's an auto feeder and it just fed her. And so she's going to be eating for a couple of minutes and then you'll possibly hear her make more noise because I don't know why, but she's developed a habit now of when she finishes eating, she will come into the room and like make noise or talk to me or whatever and tell me, "Hi, I finished eating my food. I wanted you to know. I wanted you to know that I have finished eating my food." And cats don't always make noise because it's like, "Oh, making noise because I want you to give me food." People make that mistake with cats. Anyway, for what reason are we going through this phone? That's what I ask. I ask both people, assuming it's a couple, if not a throuple or more. But I ask all parties involved, why are we going through the phone? And that's another yes, and it's a whatever moment for me. Like, okay, why are you going through the phone? Whatever. And I say, if you have nothing to hide, it is not a problem. And again, yes. And if you don't suspect something is being hidden, or rather, if you suspect something is being hidden, that you need to go through your partner's phone to play detective and find, I think that's a sign of a bigger problem. I think so. Ooh, okay, I get to share this. I have been loving the Gin and Juice podcast with, okay, Kev on Stage wife is named Melissa, and her sister is named Melanie. So they have a podcast of their own that they've been doing called Gin and Juice. I don't remember, or rather, I don't know why it's called Gin and Juice, but it's called Gin and Juice. And on the show, in reference to this, what we are discussing, she mentioned, Melissa said, spoke to the fact that you need to trust your gut. Trust that little voice inside of you. And if your gut is telling you he or she or they are cheating on you, you what Melissa was saying is that when your gut says that, your gut's probably right. And you are probably right if that's what you think. So if you need to go through the phone and give me this phone, what's your code? Because I think you're cheating. You're probably right. And then the question becomes, how do you feel about that knowledge? Your gut's not steering you wrong. Most of the time, your gut will not steer you wrong. I know. And that's just me sort of editing this. But If your gut tells you that they're cheating, then it becomes a question of, well, where do you stand with that? Is that what's the word? A relationship executable offense, an ELE, extinction level event. Anyway, but yes. So is it that, or is it something you can work through? Again, putting your hands on me is never something that can be worked through. And I was talking to my friend about that yesterday, how I had to experience that to realize that that's a no-go for me. That's an end of the road for us, for me, you know? So in terms of, and that's a price of admission that you'll have to pay to be with me. You can never put your hands on me. That's not a very high price of admission. That's a cost of admission for me, though. You cannot put your hands on me. And if for you, cheating is an automatic dismissal of the relationship, an automatic, we're done with the relationship, then that's the cost of admission for you. So, person who is with this other person, you better not cheat. Now, I will say this. I don't think it's an ELE for me. I've been cheated on before, multiple times. It's not an ELE for me. It is a reevaluate us for me, which might lead to an ELE. I'll leave it at that. It might be a time for reevaluation of us, but and that reevaluation might lead to a conclusion of us. I don't know. But it's not instantly an ELE, extinction level event. It's not instantly an end. Putting your hands on me, it's an instant end. Great. Going forward, I know that now. Oh, my baby finished eating, so she's talking. She's talking to herself, and whoever else in the apartment will listen. Anyway, but I will say this. This is a thing. I think somebody having access to your phone, it depends on the level of the relationship. Now, the card said significant other. And in my opinion, when I think of significant other, I think marriage or almost married. So at that point, I'm like, because them having access to your phone in some cases can mean having access to your finances and all of that stuff. And I don't think that's something that any old person should be able to have the codes for. If they're a significant other on a significant level, a trustworthy level, oh my gosh. Because I just thought about the fact that some people will try to force their way in and be like, you don't trust me enough to get your codes? That's because you don't really like me. You're going to ask me if I don't like you because I've not given you my codes? That's because you don't really like me. Again, once you're on that significant other level, I say marriage or at least close to it, that's okay. But all things before that, I think you have a right to have a code that they don't understand. She's here to talk now. I think it's okay to have a code that they don't understand. She is just a ball of excitement. You hear she's purring. Okay. Yes. As for that personal info and stuff, yeah. I that's why I don't think the phone is just a open and give to anybody to take a check on if you're cheating. No. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, share again. Don't forget to click like. Thank you.
Hashtag underrated hype TV 820 Before I Fall in Love Coco Lee Runaway Bride circa 1999 at ADLAM 550 hashtag First TV 820C.
Oh, okay. We understand. I've loved this song for years. I say that with all of my underrated hype TV, but that's the whole purpose of this segment. So, yes, of course. Now, I will say this weekend was actually my first time seeing this music video for this song. I did not know it even had a music video. Oh, I will give 1,000,000 points to anyone who can write that. And this is a simple yes or no question. So I'll be giving 1,000,000 points to 1,000,000 people, but right, yes or no if they remember the real player. And I'm going to leave it at that. But yes, my first time seeing the video this weekend. And it's also the first time that I really connected with the lyrics. Like before, I used to love the song just for her vocal acrobatics and, oh, she's so outstanding, which she is, you know? But this was my first time connecting with the lyrics. Particularly, oh, okay. When she sings, it's been so hard for me to give my heart away, but I would give my everything just to hear you say you're someone to have and hold. Oh, I love that. And I have parts of this that I'm going to break out. But it's been so hard for me to give my love heart away. And this is something else I was talking with my friend about this weekend. And I not hate, intensely dislike dating. And I remember one dude, gorgeous Cleveland brother, he's a firefighter. And I don't know if I've told this story before, but he, yeah, water is the right thing. I had to tell him that I currently use a walker and he being a firefighter, and I thought he was gonna be my hero for that. But he being a firefighter was like, yeah, I don't have a, and I was like, I'll have difficulty with steps and what have you. And he's like, yeah, I don't have a problem carrying you over my back. And I was like, oh my gosh, you remind me of, quite frankly, the guy who I dated off and on from my early 20s up to early 30s. And he ultimately has since passed away. And I remember he was like, I this was back when I was just using a cane or even before that. We were talking about going on a hike. And I was like, yeah, but if I get too worn out, I don't know about hiking through the woods and I can't walk too long. And he's like, Aaron, I'll just pitch you over my back and we'll get through it. That's a good man, y'all. That's a good man. Yes, he is. Oh my God. And I am with a good man. I still, I think about you and I'm happy that I am with a good man. Anyway, the firefighter, speaking of, it's been so hard for me to give my love away. What he said is, yeah, I'll just throw you over my back. You know, it's all good. And I was like, oh, thank you. He's like, as long as you're able to this is what he said, as long as you're able to get those legs into whatever position I put them in, it's all good. And to that, I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. Maybe our first outing should be to like a restaurant or somewhere, first date public place. And his response to me was, what? No, I'm not looking to date you. I'm looking to you. You. And I was like, oh. And that hurt me a lot. And that adds to, it's been so hard for me to give my heart away. Dating is rough. And I used to never understand because, again, I wasn't in any relationships in high school when this was new, but romantic. But I just like the vocal acrobatics and just to hear you say you're someone to have. And I used to wonder, like, what in the world that means when she would say, just to hear you say someone to have and hold. I was like, what is that? But listening to it, I understand now. Her background vocals say, you're someone to have and hold. And that's beautiful. And love, I don't know if I should look into the camera or look out. Yeah, I'm gonna look east because Rwanda is east. Love, I would give my everything just to hear you say, you're someone to have and hold with all my heart and soul. Yes, I love that man. Don't I love that man? I'll give 1,000,000 points to if you can name the album from which Whitney Houston sung those lines. a million points. Again, at this point, I'm giving away 3 million. It's like the mega jet lottery, whatever. But switching. Yeah, during high school, I just was like, oh, she's got a powerful voice because I heard somebody say, oh, she's got a powerful voice. So I immediately thought powerful voice equals Whitney like. She's not that. No. But to her credit, nobody is like that. There's only one Whitney. And the truth is, people used to say that about Britney Spears and Madonna. There's only one Madonna. You know, there's only one Whitney. I remember speaking with my friend who I was talking about on a different weekend about how with Christina Aguilera, my disappointment came in her obvious motion to not try to be a next Whitney Houston. Because on her first album and her Spanish language album, which the second release, and her third studio release, her Christmas album, she was going for that Whitney sound. But by her second official album, Stripped, she said, no, I'm going to be Christina. And people have a right to do that. Just like Coco Lee is Coco Lee. That's fair. And my friend was like, why do people always or so often look for somebody to be the next somebody else? Just let the person who is who they are be who they are. And let the new person be a new person. Personal affirmation time. Aaron, yes. Personal positive affirmation time. Now look at the camera. Aaron, you are a wonderful winner. Aaron, you are a beautiful catch. Aaron, you are an intelligent and practical individual. Yes. I think I did that right. And you are working and growing stronger. Yes. I said I went to the gym this morning, and I did. Right before church, then I went to church on Zoom, but my church is in Maryland, so that would be a very expensive move around. Anyway, Aaron, you are determined. You're a determined winner. Yes, you are. Aaron, I love you. You are worthy of all the wonderful. I'll talk to you later. Hashtag VerseTV family. Peace. Snip, snip, snip. Peace. Hashtag VerseTV.com. Stay blessed. Have a good day. Teeth cam.